models of hosting on Airbnb. I'm gonna tell you which ones are my favorite, what I like about each, what I don't like about each, and I'm hoping you'll be able to find some value as you get started and chart your course into the world of short-term rentals. When I started, I could afford one property. So that was it. And for most of us, we're not able to purchase 10 properties a year and go full-time into Airbnb. So that's where arbitrage comes into play and can be a great option for you if you want to scale quickly without the cost. Let me disclaimer, arbitrage needs to be done legally and with the full knowledge and buy-in of the building owner. You are going to need that owner to help you at certain times in your career with arbitrage. Make sure that your lease explicitly states that you have the permission to sublease that unit. With arbitrage, it is a much lower investment than purchasing a home. All you have to do is come up with a deposit for rent and some furnishings. A one-bedroom apartment, when I was furnishing one-bedroom apartments, I could do it for $2,000 to $3,000. It's a much more saturated market now. You may need a little bit more money to be competitive if you want to furnish a property, but that's all you need. It's a very affordable way to scale quickly, especially if you can work with one or two owners who have multiple properties. My experience, the owner that I worked with came back to me every time he had a vacancy. I was his first choice. He knew he was never gonna have a vacancy. I managed the properties myself, but he knew that I was watching the properties so closely, they were staying in much better shape than they ever would under a lease with a traditional tenant. So with arbitrage, what I love is that you get more control than you would have in co-hosting. You're in charge of the furnishings, you have leased it, and you have a lot of control over that space. And you really aren't managing that client. So yes, you're talking to the building owner from time to time, but really you're mostly catering to the guests, and that is it. In co-hosting, you have two sides of it. You're working for your guests, you're working for your client. In arbitrage, you have a lot more autonomy. What I don't like about it, if you have a 2-year lease for your arbitrage unit, assume it's 2 years. So as you're making your investments, as you're calculating, assume this landlord may not re-up with me at the end of 2 years. I hope he does. I hope it's a great experience for us and he wants me to keep renting from him into the future. But you have to be realistic as you run your numbers and know that this may be a temporary thing. When you work with me through coaching, I can help you model out what you might make in arbitrage and therefore how much it's worth spending. More control than you would have in co-hosting, but less control than you would have in ownership. So being realistic that it's very likely a shorter term investment, that is so important as you get into arbitrage. You just don't own that asset, right? So it's not true wealth. Yes, you have cash flow. To the point that you convert that cash flow into assets that are growing in value over time, that's your wealth. When I got into arbitrage, it was a great way to generate cash and buy more properties. And when I got out of arbitrage, instantly that cash flow was gone, but what remained were assets that I had purchased for myself using that cash flow. So I really love arbitrage for the purpose of generating cash flow, but I think you have to go in with eyes wide open. It's such a different model, and you just need to be aware of that. I still recommend it. I still would do it myself. If I see another great arbitrage opportunity in the future, I would 100% take it. Ultimately a proponent, but that is the downside, is that you can't control it.